4 a.m. First Fruits. This is a chapter by chapter Bible study series, and we are in 2 Kings chapter 12. And like my pastor says, if we don't win the morning, we don't win the day. And this right here is how we win the day. Last chapter, we see this power-crazed grandmother named Athaliah. When she found out her son had passed on, she decided to annihilate all of the proper heirs to the throne of Judah. This lady was annihilating her own grandchildren. We were not surprised that she was actually the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. Jehosheba decided to take Joash and secure him in the temple safely away from his grandmother. Jehoiada helped raise him up, and that was Jehosheba's husband. Jehosheba's husband happened to be a priest in the temple, and so it worked out perfectly for this to happen. Until he was 7 years old, and they revealed to the people that he was the king, and Athaliah was overthrown. Joash becomes king at 7 years old. My son is 6 years old. I cannot imagine him being a king. The entire kingdom would be forced to eat chicken nuggets probably at every meal. He would definitely demand all of the Lego kits possible in the world, and not an ounce of schoolwork would be done, period. But we're going to see how it goes for little Joash. Chapter 12. Joash was 7 years old when he became king. In the 7th year of Jehu, Joash became king, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah. She was from Beersheba. Throughout the time, the priest Jehoiada instructed him. Joash did what was right in the Lord's sight, yet the high places were not taken away. The people continued sacrificing and burning incense on the high places. Jehoiada, this priest who helped upbring Joash during this crazy time, has now become a mentor to the king and help guide him in the right ways of the Lord. Now, the high places aren't terrible. There was a certain point in time where they were sacrificing at the high places because they did not have a temple. But when the temple came about, it was taught that you were supposed to have all of your sacrifices done at the temple. And so them continuing to sacrifice there was a little smidge of disobedience, yet disobedience. It's incomplete devotion to God. It was a risk of future apostasy, a risk of rebellion. Verse 4. Then Joash said to the priests, all the dedicated silver brought to the Lord's temple, since the silver from vows and all the silver voluntarily given for the Lord's temple, each priest is to take it from his assessor and repair whatever damage is found in the temple. The temple was still damaged from Athaliah when they raided and took everything out for Baal temple worship. But by the 23rd year of the reign of King Joash, the priests had not repaired the damage to the temple. That is a long time. So King Joash called the priest Jehoiada and the other priests and asked, why haven't you repaired the temple's damage? Since you haven't, don't take any silver from your assessors. Instead, hand it over for the repair of the temple. So the priests agreed that they would receive no silver from the people and would not be the ones to repair the temple's damage. Then Joash comes up with this box idea, which is very familiar to us Americans in our churches, because they took a chest, cut a hole in it, and took offerings there for the repair of the temple. But this was different because usually priests would just collect the money and distribute it how they thought they should. But this time they had someone counting, and it was a transparent accountability, and the people actually were happy about it. They rejoiced about it. The reason why I know that is because this story, 2 Kings 12, parallels with 2 Chronicles 24, verse 8. At the king's command, a chest was made and placed outside the gate of the Lord's temple. Then a proclamation was issued in Judah and Jerusalem that the tax God's servants Moses imposed on Israel in the wilderness be brought to the Lord. All the leaders and all the people rejoiced, brought the tax, and put it in the chest until it was full. Whenever the chest was brought by the Levites to the king's overseers, and when they saw that there was a large amount of silver, the king's secretary and the high priest's deputy came and emptied the chest, picked it up, and returned it to its place. This financial reform actually worked, and so this was something that Joash did that was really good. I can't say that I'm not disappointed in the priest. It's taking 23 years of time to repair God's temple. And so it's showing us that it wasn't exactly high priority for the priest nor for Joash, really. All of that time when people were giving money for the repairs and it wasn't happening probably led to some distrust in how the funds were being managed. When they gave the funds to the workers, it says in verse 15, no accounting was required from the men who received the silver to pay those doing the work, since they worked with integrity. It implied that funds were not being stewarded well by the priests. I wondered to myself, why doesn't Joash put a little bit of money into this project? In verse 17, at that time, King Hazael of Aram marched up and fought against Gath and captured it. Then he planned to attack Jerusalem. So King Joash of Judah took all of the items consecrated by himself and by his ancestors, Judah's kings Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, as well as the gold found in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and in the king's palace, and he sent them to King Hazael. Then Hazael withdrew from Jerusalem. So instead of praying to the Lord, what should we do? Should we go to battle? Will you help us win? He just takes more from the temple of the Lord and gives it to an enemy to avoid a battle. How often do we take consecrated things that are for the Lord and use it for something that's not for the Lord? In verse 20, Joash's servants conspired against him and attacked him at Beth Millo on the road that goes down to Silla. It was his servants Jozabad, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer, who attacked him. He died, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and his son Amaziah became king in his place. So you might be wondering, why all of a sudden did they just attack him? Well, 2 Chronicles 24 actually tells us Jehoiada died when he was old and full of days. He was 130 years old at his death. He was buried in the city of David with the kings because he had done what was good in Israel with respect to God and his temple. However, after Jehoiada died, the rulers of Judah came and paid homage to the king. Then the king listened to them, and they abandoned the temple of the Lord, the God of their ancestors, and served the Asherah poles and the idols. So there was wrath against Judah and Jerusalem for this guilt. So Joash was not wholeheartedly devoted to the Lord. And Jehoiada was the one that cared for him and kept him on the right path. And as soon as he's gone, he has these rulers of Judah calls him to turn away and to serve these false gods. Well, Zechariah is Jehoiada's son. He's also a priest, and he is trying to tell them, turn around, what are you doing? Do the right thing. And Joash kills him. King Joash didn't remember the kindness that Jehoiada had shown to him. And when Zechariah was dying, Jehoiada's son, he said, may the Lord see and demand an account. Joash not only forgot the kindness of Jehoiada, but he also forgot the kindness of God. And because of this, in 2 Chronicles 24, it tells us that God delivered them over, the Arameans. And that was how Joash began to be injured in the battle. And then that's when his servants conspired against him and just took him out altogether. In verse 24 of 2 Chronicles 24, it says, although the Aramean army came with only a few men, the Lord handed over a vast army to them because the people of Judah had abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors. So they executed judgment on Joash. Joash had something called a borrowed righteousness. His righteousness was not from his own devotion to the Lord, but because he was being led by someone else. And this just shows us that promising beginnings does not necessarily mean that it's going to have a righteous ending. Thank you for watching this 4 a.m. and I'll see you in the next one when we cover chapter 13.